Hello and welcome to the first ever FPL Mate video. As you can tell right now, I have basically no subscribers, so if you like what you see today, please consider sticking around and maybe even ding my little bell for notifications. And I promise I'll do my best to provide insightful FPL content with some fancy graphics to boast. So, in this Game Week 25 preview video, we will be covering some transfer targets for this week and beyond, some weekly topics including an emerging midfield template, what to do with all your Leicester lads, are we wild enough to have a wild card on the cards, easy for me to say, and finally we'll be looking at the best captaincy options for Game Week 25. So, who is on my watch list this week? I'll start you off with Aubameyang. This is the first week he's coming back fresh from a 3-game suspension. We know he's an FPL heavy hitter with 3 goal returns in 4 before his ban. His expected goals in his last 10 games is just under 0.5, but he is someone who will outperform that stat. So you can expect at least a goal every other game. And he also does have assist potential and penalties. On top of that, Arsenal's fixtures look favourable for a while now. Finally, with calls for Arsenal to drop Lacazette instead of Martinelli, we could be seeing Aubameyang in the centre forward position. I don't think I need to sell him to you anymore. However, a lot of reservations from FPL managers will be picking just one premium striker out of Auba, Aguero and Vardy. Vardy has been a little bit worrying. Aguero, however, has been fantastic. But with Champions League coming back, we may see Aguero rested in the Prem with Gabriel Jesus playing in his stead. City's fixtures are also not as favourable, but we know City can score in any game. Regardless, Auba edges it as the best premium striker option right now, and just as an additional note, even though it's never going to happen, if you are worried about Aubameyang leaving Arsenal in the January transfer window, you can just wait and make the transfer in your FPL team late on Friday or Saturday morning after the Prem transfer window closes, but the FPL window remains open. Next up is Troy Deeney, Watford's captain, guaranteed to start if fit. Penalty taker, 4 goals in his previous 5 games. He's taking loads of shots with loads of expected goals and assists, and in general Watford's attacking stats are looking brilliant with Deeney at the heart of it all. And at this price and low ownership, do I need to sell him to you anymore? I truly believe Deeney could be a better option than the typical Ings and Calvert-Lewins at the same price point. So if you want a cheap differential pick up front, look no further. Pair him with a Jimenez or Ings or whoever, and then a premium third striker, and you're good to go. Finally, a defensive option in Jamal Lascelles. Again, I've gone for a club captain, guaranteed to start. He's played 2 games since coming back from a long-term injury, one of which earned Newcastle a clean sheet. Newcastle are already a defensive team and look even more solid with their leader in tow. He costs just 4.2 million, which makes him a great budget enabler who can play week in, week out. And play him you absolutely should, considering he has 6 green fixtures in his next 9 and just 1 red. And even that 1 red is Arsenal, so does that even count? Lascelles does also post some goal threat from set pieces, so over his next period you can probably expect maybe 1 goal and a few clean sheets. You can't really go wrong with that price, and I struggle to see a better budget defensive option. So we're seeing a bit of a template emerging in midfield, which I think you'd be brave not to follow. All the top FPL managers are going for it, and if you're not, you might just get left behind. This template includes KDB, Grealish and a Liverpool asset, most likely Salah right now. Mane, of course, almost certainly going to miss the Southampton game and maybe even the game after that. But I won't speculate on the Mane topic, it has been talked to death about on other channels. Then you've got your 4th and potentially 5th spot where you can get a little bit more creative in that midfield. This is likely to function as your differential pick. Depending on your budget, you can go for a Son, you can double up with Liverpool. Medium options are maybe an Ali or a Martial, although I just flat out do not trust Man United assets right now. Then on the cheaper side, you can go for a Perez of Leicester, Flecky at Sheffield, or the big man himself. If you hadn't already guessed it, it was his silhouette all along. Look at those guns, it's Adama Traore. Leicester had an absolutely fantastic run of form in the run up to Christmas, with a lot of us doubling or tripling up on their assets. The most popular ones, Vardy, Maddison and Soyuncu. But with the form fading and the fixtures not looking so great, those smiling faces have quickly turned into frowns. And I think you should leave a like just for the edit I've done on Soyuncu's face here. You won't find FPL content like that anywhere else on YouTube, believe me. But in all seriousness, if you have been stuck with the 2 or 3 Leicester assets, I probably would move on all Leicester defenders with the exception of maybe Pereira. James Maddison is far too inconsistent and you can do just far more better with the same budget or less. Jamie Vardy, although a lot of people are moving him on, Brendan Rodgers has suggested he'll be back fit and firing for this game week. His blanks have come either through injuries, missed games, missed penalties, and, well, we're playing Liverpool. That's a disadvantage in itself. I think you could do a lot worse than to keep Jamie Vardy in your team, but personally, I just prefer an Aguero or an Aubameyang in the same position. A quick note on the wildcard, as I know a lot of people are considering playing it this game week. I think now is a good time to play it. It's good to get ahead of the curve with a lot of emerging hype trains arriving at the FPL station. The defensive template has completely changed, and without a wildcard you'll struggle to get in all of the right players. Alternatively, it's probably only the defence and the keeper you might want to change, positions which typically generate the least amount of points. So I would say, unless you're also going to make a couple of changes in midfield and attack, particularly if you want to switch up a couple of premium assets, hold on to the wildcard, keep assessing, play it when you feel you need to. With the January transfers coming in, it might be best to assess the situation with a few players before playing it. Maybe some new players come in, how good are they going to be, are they going to play? Maybe some of the current players have their places in contention suddenly. And of course, as we know, if you can hold on to it long enough, a wildcard is especially useful for navigating those double game weeks and blank game weeks later in the season. Stats from last year do suggest, however, that playing it earlier yields more points overall, so I'll leave it to you lot to judge based on your own circumstances. There really is no right answer here. If you feel it's right, go for it. Right, so now it's time for the most important decision you will make all week in your personal life, work life, family life, or otherwise. It's time for the captaincy pick. I'll start us off with a really boring option in Salah. It looks like a huge percentage of active players will be handing the armband to Salah this weekend, and for good reason. Over the past few games with Mane out, he looks to be playing much more centrally, and with Mane having been announced to be almost certainly out of contention this game week, it leaves Salah as the main man. Salah is also being really greedy on the ball recently, which is great from a fantasy point of view, and discounting the game just gone against West Ham, which he's got a goal and assist. Before that, playing without Mane, he's got scores of 12, 13 and 2 in the previous 3 games. So when Mane's off the pitch, it's all about our Egyptian king. Plus, with Milner out, he's on penalties, which he proved again against West Ham, which is always a very nice bonus. So with all that said, it's pretty obvious why everyone is looking at Salah this week. My only minor concern is that Southampton are looking good defensively recently, so I wouldn't expect a goal fest. But even if it's sort of 2-0, 2-1 for example, you'd expect Salah to be involved with probably both of those goals, to be fair. A Salah captaincy is the safe bet. The second best captaincy pick is probably Aubameyang. I've already given you all of his stats, so I won't go over it all again, but I will talk about this particular game against Burnley and give you a truly mouth-watering stat. I think you're going to like this one. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang has played 4 Premier League games against Burnley, and in those 4 games, he has scored 7 goals and got 1 assist. How about that? An average of 2 returns per game against Burnley. Now, Burnley have nicked a couple of results recently against Man United and Leicester, but I don't think that should put you off. Stats suggest that Burnley are not improving defensively, and we know defensively they have been woeful. And besides some poor fortune, I back Arsenal to roll them over with Aubameyang as the spearhead. I think Burnley's luck is about to catch up with them. Finally, I'm going to give you a really saucy pick. This is the pick for those with particularly large balls. I'm talking about the Brummie legend Jack Grealish. Is he Irish? Is he English? Nobody knows. 26 points in its last 4 game weeks, 25 in 3 if you don't count that game against Manchester City where they absolutely smashed Villa to oblivion. This included a 13-point haul against Burnley, a 10-point haul against Brighton, and honestly he was unlucky not to bag a few points against Watford last game week, and this time he's up against the absolutely woeful Bournemouth. Now, I've seen a few FPL pundits talking about a resurgent Bournemouth after their 3-1 win against Brighton last game week. These pundits must have been watching a different game to me. I'm absolutely not having it. Aaron Ramsdale kept Bournemouth in that game with some fabulous saves as Bournemouth conceded chance after chance. They also looked absolutely useless in the FA Cup against Arsenal, and even if they were resurgent for 1 game week, that doesn't take away from the fact that they got absolutely battered by Watford, West Ham and Brighton. With the exception of maybe Watford, I think Aston Villa offer a lot more going forward than those teams. And if Villa are able to score even just a couple of goals against Bournemouth, you would expect Grealish to be the top scoring player in that game. Grealish could be a fantastic differential captaincy pick this game week. So, that concludes my first video, and that's all I have to say in the run-up to Game Week 25. If you did enjoy this video, please do consider leaving a like and subscribing. It is, as I say, my first ever FPL video, so any feedback would be massively appreciated. But other than that, thank you so much for taking the time to watch till the end, and I hope I've been able to help you make some FPL decisions this week, or convince you that the decisions you have made are the right ones. I hope you'll join me again next week, but for now, I'll see you later, mates.